Pranam to all of you. Pranam to the lotus feet of Bhagavan. Let me thank the group from Kuwait for inviting me to talk to you this pleasant morning. It has been my pleasure to meet groups from different countries and enrich myself by this acquaintance. It's not merely talking to them, it's also, in addition, learning from the group as well. It is a bi-directional flow of information and not unidirectional flow of knowledge. He asked me to say a few words on a spiritual topic. Well, I don't know what exactly he meant by spiritual topic. All topics are spiritual. But the spiritual external, turned outside, becomes the knowledge. And the spirituality turned inwards is wisdom. Same thing. The spiritual is something like a mirror which you can turn outward and see the whole of the world there, what we call knowledge. And the same spiritual lens can be turned inward when we see our own self, what is called wisdom. So spiritual has got two sides, one outer, another inner, that being the same. In fact, I have been thinking seriously that we should always be interested in the spiritual matters. And the point is this, my friends, kindly put questions following my talk for any clarity you need. You see, here is a pot full of water and I mixed sugar there and then I made some holes in the pot. The sweet water comes out of the holes. As is the water in the pot, so is the taste of the water that comes out of the holes of the pot. Am I clear? Am I clear? Similarly, with inward experience, when we see the outer world, you will find it completely divine and full of love. With outward experience, when you see inside, you will feel that you need to make a travel inward. In other words, spiritual travel needs two ways or two channels, from outward to inward, from inward to outward. Because when once we enter into the inward, to the inner world, we find the outer world is not separate. From the outer point of view, there is something outside, there is something inside. From the inner point of view, there is nothing outside. That outer is nothing but the reflection of the inner. That's why Baba says, everything is the reflection of the inner being. Baba's quotations may seem to be quite simple, appear to have been understood. But in reality, unless we go deep into every statement, we do not experience the profundity, depth, and the inner significance of every statement. So this statement, that everything is the reflection of the inner being, means what? When you travel from outwards to inwards. That's called pravritti. Pravritti. Where you find that the inner is separate from the outer. But when once you get into the inward part and then look at the outward world, what we call nivritti, you will find everything being one and the same. There are no two now. Am I clear? Outwards two, from inward only one. In other words, it is a kind of travel from duality to non-duality. We are in a dual world. We think that we are two, that I am in the world and God over there. But when once I experience God, I will understand this is nothing but His own reflection. So duality to non-duality is the first goal, aim of spiritual travel. When we continue to remain in duality, we have to understand that our journey is not proper, our goals are not well defined, that we don't have any awareness or understanding of the subject. Am I clear, sir? So understanding of the subject requires us to know that we are traveling from duality to non-duality. This is clear. The second point, we begin to see a glass of water here. And here, glass has a size. Every glass has a size. Water inside also has some quantity. And this water in a glass has the form of the glass, has the color of the glass. When one side throw or pour out the glass of water into a river, what happens? There is no glass now. There is no shape of a glass now. It becomes one with the river. The glass of water becomes one with the river. The form is gone, the color is gone, name of the glass is gone, now it becomes river itself. In other words, from name to nameless, from name to namelessness, from form to the formlessness are the other two objectives of spiritual journey. The first objective is non-dual to dual. The duality to non-duality, first objective. The second objective, from name to namelessness. And third objective, from form to formlessness. And fourth objective is also this. So long we find every one of us introducing with each other, I am this, I am from Kuwait, I am from Iran, I am from Iraq, I am from India. Everyone refers to one's own self using this letter I. Now what happens? The spirituality will take you from I to we. I to we. You are no longer that single I. You are no longer a tub of water. You are no longer a canal. You are no longer a lake. You are an ocean. You are an ocean itself. You are a mighty ocean. So this I-ness takes us towards we-ness. That is another point of interest in our spiritual journey. Because the gentleman asked me to speak on spiritual topic, I am going to that. Another thing is this. We consider all this true. The buildings, the trees, and the people around true. But it is not. This is all untruth. Untruth, not truth. Why? Truth is changeless. But the tree 10 years ago was not like this. 20 years ago, things were not like this. These things go on changing. Some tree existed last month, this month it is not there. So those that come and go, those that undergo change are untrue. That which is changeless is truth. So, though 25 years ago, I must have been quite younger, or 30 years or 40 years ago, maybe quite good looking also. While today, I am not. So I go on changing. But as a boy, I was telling everybody I am that. As a young man, I was also using this I. As a father, I was using this word I, even today. This I has not changed. As a boy, as a youth, or a father or a grandfather, I am using this I. Whereas the body is going on changing. A curly hair at one time, semi-bald now, next year may be totally bald. Jumping around then, walking stylishly later, now limping is the style. But the I has not changed. So that I which is true, the body is untrue. So the whole world is untrue. The whole world is untruth. Falsity. Why? Change. But the divinity there inside, the working system is truth. Like I see the real I don't see. I see my body, I see my hands, I see myself in a mirror, but the true I do not see. So similarly, Creator is not seen. Creation is seen. Creator is the foundation. Creation is the building. Creator is the root. Creation is the tree. So from untruth to truth, that is the spiritual growth. From darkness of ignorance towards the light of awakening is the spiritual journey. And we think that death is certain to everybody. No, who is dying? No one is dying. No one dies. Why? No one is born. If anyone is born, I can understand so and so dies. But no one is born. Why? It is the body that appears. It is the body that disappears. There is current flowing. You fix the bulb to the holder and the bulb sheds light. When the bulb filament is gone, the bulb is useless, but current is there still. So that current is divinity, bulb is the body. That current is vitality. The current is life force. So I am the current and not the bulb. If I am the bulb, new bulb, old bulb, bulb useful, bulb useless, I am not the bulb, I am the current. Therefore, there is nothing like death. There is only eternity. So travel from falsity to the truth is asatoma sadgamaya. Travel from darkness of ignorance towards the light of knowledge is tamasoma jyotirgamaya. Travel from death to eternity is murtyorma amurtangamaya. These are the different channels, different directions of our long spiritual journey. Let's not think that we started spiritual journey now. No. We have been trying to make this since long, over several lives in the past. It's a continual journey. The question may be, how long should we travel? How long? until this I is gone, until this entity, this separateness is gone, until I feel that I am everything, that I am God, that I am no longer the body, that I am no longer the mind, that I am no longer the intellect, that I am divine. Until then, our journey has to continue. And we will continue. And Baba's main purpose is to help us in our spiritual journey. But we want him to help to have our son get married, or to have the daughter married to a boy from US, preferably with a green card. And we want a new house. We want a 5-figure salary. But the purpose is different. A plantain tree, you know, plantain tree. There you have plantain trees. On the plantain leaves, food is served. We eat. Plantain leaves are useful. Plantain tree is not grown for the leaves. It is for the fruit. Take for example coconut. Coconut fiber is useful. Coconut shells are useful. But coconut is not grown for fiber or shells. It is for coconut water. So life is for the divinity and its experience. These are all byproducts. Swami helping my son, Swami helping your daughter, Swami helping us to come out of danger, the threat of any complaint. It's only a byproduct. But his main intention is to lead us towards the divinity, to help us, to encourage us in our long, unending spiritual journey. That is the mission which he has taken up, and so we find the divinity, incarnation amidst us. All colleges, the hospitals, bhajans, meditations, all of them are for this ultimate purpose of making every one of us realize the divinity. That is the main purpose. A child refuses to go to the school in the beginning. We give chocolates, Sprite, Coca-Cola, milkshake, or pizza, or an ice cream, so the child is tempted to go to school. Until the child gets used to school. But we don't take Coca-Cola every day. It's only in the beginning, until the child loves the school. Similarly, until we are turned towards God, the chocolates of miracles happen. The sweets of experience happen. The smiles of encouragement are given. Waving of the hand elevates us. These are all the attractions. These are all the things to draw our attention towards Him, the ultimate goal. So let us have all these things such that we turn towards Him. With that spiritual note, I leave the floor to you. You are quite free to put questions as you like, with no reservations at all. We are members of the same family. Never consider that I am separate from you. Never dream that I am more than you. You know me. And as good as you, or as bad as you, and nothing different from anybody. Yes, please.
Swami spoke something about Atma or Consciousness. Can you just briefly say what it is? Because none of us could attend that discussion.
Swami spoke on Atma mainly along these lines, I said. Nameless, formless, changeless, eternity, Atma. That's what he said. And he also said, in order to visualize Atma, you give different names like Rama, Krishna, Shiva. But names may be different, that Atma remains the same. That's what he said. So the changeless, nameless, formless Atma that he was speaking on that day. Yes?
Yes.
Sir, please feel free, no reservations.
Did he say anything?
You're all from what?
The first initial classes. Yes.
So when we're talking about this reincarnation, rebirth, read that there are two reasons allows us to take the rebirth. One is some unfulfilled desire that we may have, and number two is ignorance. I'm not able to understand why ignorance should yield us another birth. And to expand this question, how do we put a stop to this human birth?
A good question. How to put a full stop to rebirth? How to come out of the cycle of birth and rebirth? A good question indeed. But whatever we speak should have scriptural sanction or scriptural approval. I cannot simply imagine or give my own hypothesis. I don't do that. There is an Upanishad by name Prashnopanishad that deals with this topic clearly. What does it say? There is this Atma or the self or consciousness. And this consciousness sends forth the waves. What are the waves? Two waves. One wave is prana, life. The other wave is manas, the mind. So out of that consciousness, these two are produced, life and the mind. Right, sir? Now what happens? So what is the source of prana? Consciousness. What is this mind now? Mind is a software. Mind consists of recordings of the sequence of consequences of actions we have done in the past. Mind is nothing but a thought. This thought leads to action. Action leads to the consequence. So all these are recorded in the mind. Now what happens is, out of this consciousness, breath, prana, life enters into this body because of the mind. So, prana, life, arises from consciousness and this enters into the body because of the mind. Am I clear? So what we have to do now, we have to see that the mind and prana are withdrawn so that they may go back to the source. As waves come, they are separate. As waves go back, merge with the ocean, there are no more waves now. Similarly, to get out of the cycle of birth and death, what we have to do is rise above. Prana the life rise above the mind. These two are together. Well, how to do that? Is there any formula to rise above the life prana? Is there any formula to rise above manas or mind? Are there two techniques? Are there two methods? No, my friend. Method is same, to rise above the mind and prana. What is that method? If you want the waves to go, what would happen? Waves should merge back into the ocean. Am I clear? Likewise, if we want to rise above this prana, the life, and the manas, what should happen? They should merge back into that consciousness. Because out of consciousness, these two have come. They must go back. That's all. How do they go back? By turning inward. How do they go back? Simple example. Sugar, spoon sugar. When it is mixed in water, what happens? It dissolves. There is no more of sugar further. Similarly, when this mind and the life prana merge back into the ocean of consciousness, there is no separation. Because birth and rebirth is because of the mind. When the mind merges into consciousness, no sequence, no consequence. So the only way to be birthless, the only way to be deathless is to withdraw the mind, is to annihilate the mind, is to merge the mind in consciousness by the process of meditation. Am I clear? Good question, good question. You are an engineer? Did I put my calculation correctly?
So one more question from me. You're talking about consciousness. We, at least I often get confused about this terminology. One is conscious and consciousness. Is there any easy way to remember this?
Very easy. There is nobody else to explain things in a much simpler way than Baba himself. We people run after Baba because of these things. Tough things made so simple and easy. I was reading Bhagavad Gita. There some terms are used which I could not get into my head. Silently I sat. Immediately from Baba's discourse, I could get a clue for its understanding. Similarly, conscious, conscience, consciousness. Volumes are written about it. Many talks have been given on that, but ended up in confusion, confounded. But Baba puts it simply like this. Body speaks of conscious. Body means, body represents first step, conscious. Am I clear? How do you say that? Suddenly if anybody looks at you, we'll be very aware of our dress, conscious. If anyone looks at you, what's wrong with my dress? We immediately check up our dress and hairstyle. We are conscious of the body, right? We go to attend a dinner or we attend a party. We are very conscious of our dress. Is the tie matching tie? Or how about that? So conscious first state represents the body. Clear? The second, conscience, Conscience represents divinity at the individual level. Divinity at the individual level. My conscience tells me, everybody say that. Sir, don't force me to do that. You are my boss, I accept. But my conscience tells me. So, the conscience is the divinity at the individual level. Electricity in the bulb is individual, 40 candle, 100 candle like that. Am I clear? So conscience is the divinity at the individual level. What we say, I. Your I, conscience. Here, consciousness is universal I. That universal I, simple example. Air is present everywhere, right? Air. What do? Some air is pumped into the tire, cycle tire. Some air is pumped into a lorry tire or a car tire. Air in the tire is same as the air all around. The air all around is spread all over, whereas the air in the tire is limited, though air is same. Understand? So, the air in the tire is conscience. The air all over is consciousness. So, consciousness is universal. Conscience is individual. Conscious is the body. Am I clear? See, I'm a teacher for the last 46 years. A professor, this is my job.
We are all divine. We are all divine. So why is it that I'm not able to see divinity in myself? Especially in others.
Let me answer. One question is raised. You'll get chance. Did you hear his question? He said, we are all divine. How is it? I do not know the divinity within me. Why is it? I do not see divinity in you, in others. Why? The only reason is this. Because you do not see, you cannot deny. Can you? We are students of science. How can I accept that I do not see? How do I say that it is there when I do not see? The natural question. Do you see your back? Do you see your back? Please try. Here or in your room. Better you take some ointment balm with you because you may have some spray in there. You cannot see your own back. Because you do not see your back, can you say, I have no back?
I'm backward.
I'm backless. Can anybody say that? So, whether you see or not, you cannot see impossible. You don't see, but you do not say no. I have my own back. Okay, another example. See your own ear with your eyes. Eye and the ear are so near, do not see each other. Do not see each other. So can you say no? Sir, I don't see my ear, so I am earless. Oh, I see. I don't see my back, so I am backless. Oh, I see. So those that are not seen cannot be denied. Those that are seen cannot be accepted. All those things that are seen cannot be accepted. We are here nicely seated. But earth is revolving at a terrific speed. On its own, revolving round the sun also. Not revolving, very stable. You do not see, but still it revolves. Understand? And sunrise and sunset. Is there sunrise or sunset? When earth turns that way, sunrise, this way, sun is always there. He doesn't rise, he doesn't set. So what you see cannot be true. What you do not see cannot be dismissed. Am I clear? Similarly, the divinity in me I may not see, but I cannot say there is no divinity. Divinity in you I may not see, but I cannot say there is no divinity in you. Next point. Simple example. All bulbs are burning. The electricity that burns this bulb is same as the electricity that burns that bulb also. You cannot say, sir, that electricity, Kotta Cheruvu electricity, which is making that bulb burn. This is Dharmavaram electricity that is making this bulb burn. The central bulb, Puttaparthi electricity. It is nothing else. Now, if I know the electricity of this bulb, I will be knowing the electricity of all other bulbs. Am I clear? Similarly, when I see the divinity within myself, when I experience the divinity within myself, the same divinity is present in everyone. Understood? See? Now, why don't I see my own divinity? Why don't I see my own divinity? The reason is this. Somebody said, Mr. Anil Kumar, you have not put your button properly. So what do I say? Please get the mirror. You will get the mirror and I'll check whether I put my button properly. But suddenly I say, gentlemen, I don't see my picture in the mirror. I want to check whether my button is correct or not. You brought the mirror, but I don't see my picture. Why? Because mirror is turned towards other side. Mirror is not turned towards me. It is turned towards you. So I don't see. Then you will say, sir, Mr. Anil Kumar, you are a professor. People say professors are absent-minded. We can understand you. So, you have river, please put it that side so that you can see. I said, I want pen. Arre, you have 2 pens in your pocket, you don't see that. Why do you ask others? Similarly, why don't we see the divinity within us? Because the mirror is out there and outside. What is the mirror? Mind. Mirror, the mind, is directed outwards, so you see the అక్కడ పడుకోబెట్టు నీళ్ళు పోయి సో కీ కుడుంగప్ప and you follow tough subject. But that's how he feels. That is his game.
Water bottle is there, anybody?
No, we read it, but we read for reading's sake. It won't solve the problem. Therefore, since the mirror is turned outwards, we are not able to see the reality. We are not able to see the divinity. So, the mirror, the mind, has to turn inwards. Then we will experience it. So, simple, Baba always gives an example. This is a hand fan. If I do that, I get the breeze. If I do that, you get the breeze. Similarly, hand fan is the mind which has to be directed inwards. But it's directed outwards. How do you get the breeze? So the mind has to be inward to experience this consciousness. Am I clear? That
Has to be inward. What that actually means.
mind has to be inward. What it actually means. You're also from Kuwait? You're from? American brain.
Yeah, I saw you in USA.
Oh, still you can bear with me. I should thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I really enjoyed my stay there.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
The NYC was very interesting. And that's why I stayed for all the 3 days there. Good. I spent my night. Mind turning inward, what you actually mean is the question. Very good question. All right. When I see all of you, my view, my looks, my sight is outward. Clear? That's why I see you. When I listen all sounds, it means my ears are outward. When I think of pizza a day in the Western canteen, my mind is outward. Because the senses are outward, we are able to think of the outer world. When once you close your eyes, can you see anything else? No. When you just stop hearing anything else, can you hear anything, sounds outside? So when all the senses stop doing work outwardly, meaning close your eyes, don't listen to any sound, just watch your breath. Watch your breath. So that thoughts also are controlled, then mind turns inward. So thoughts are to be controlled by breath control. Breath control is called pranayama. By pranayama, you'll have thought control. By closing all external senses, you will close that outer look, then you will have. Am I clear?
How long are we supposed to live like
Pardon?
How long are we supposed to live like
Did you hear that question? You are also from Kuwait?
Yeah.
Good. Very good question. How long are we supposed to reflect? Right? It is like a child asking, or anybody of us, Mother, how much should I eat? The mother will tell you, until you are satisfied. How long should I sleep? When you feel like getting up, when you can no longer sleep. How long should I do exercise? Until your muscles start paining. So, it is not a question of time. It is a question of one's own interest and convenience. Supposing there are cool drinks. What cool drink should I drink? How many bottles of cool drinks should I drink? Left to your thirst, the capacity. Good question. Yes?
the conscience is same for all?
Yes. But that word conscience is given, a name is given like that. But the conscience is a portion of consciousness. Simple example. You go to a river and bring a pot full of water. The pot full of water is out of the river. But this pot full, because limited, that river is so much plenty. It is difference in the quantity, but in quality, same. Conscience, consciousness, universal and individual. quality-wise same. What are the qualities?
Then how come we have so many differences? Because of mind overlapping.
You are from? See, such a brainy people are there. That's why people, all eyes are on that country now because of it. Yes, repeat the question. Then why are there differences, right? Why then differences? When conscience and consciousness are same, when divinity in all of us is same, why then are the differences? That simple thing. Differences are because of ignorance. Differences are because of ignorance. Simple example. I don't know whether in Kuwait you have those things or not. Children have beautiful dolls made out of sugar, candy. Some of the shape of a bird, some of the shape of a dog, some of the shape of a peacock, made up of same sugar dolls, candy. A child will go, I want dog. Another child will say, I want a lion. But is it a lion and a dog? If I give lion, no, I want dog, daddy. Oh, I see. No, I want lion. The child goes on insisting on the lion and dog, forgetting the fact that these are all made out of same candy sugar. Ignorance. Ajnana. So, it is ignorance or ajnana that is responsible for our differences. When once the jnana, the light of knowledge, sets in, ajnana, the darkness of ignorance, is dispelled. Am I clear? Very good question.
Destiny and fate, do they have any relevance in spirituality?
Destiny and faith.
Fate.
Fate. Destiny and fate. Do they have any relevance in spirituality? Destiny involves 2 points. Destiny, destination. New York is destination. Paris, destination. Bombay, destination. So, destiny, destination involves 2 points. One, distance, and another, time. Distance and time are the 2 factors involved in destiny and destination. Am I clear? To reach the destiny or not, to be able to go to the destiny or not, is faith. Faith is your reaching the destiny or unable to reach the destiny is the faith. Destiny, destination involves time and space. Now, what is their role in spirituality? Our destiny is to reach God, to attain God, to experience God. And this destiny to reach God, attain God, realize God, we think it involves time and space. Darshan time, 8:30. Baba is in Puttaparthi, Baba is in Bangalore, space. So when you think of God in a temple, it is space. And to reach the temple is time. Destiny, destination. But fate is your capacity to see that God within yourself. If your fate is bright, You have the capacity to see that God, that destination, even here. The fate is negative against you. You may not be able to recognize it. But fate more or less depends upon two factors. One factor, your earnestness, your sincerity, your focused attention, your concentration, and God's mercy. Your intensity, His mercy, can change the fate also. All of us are here because of His mercy and because of our desire to be here. So we could reach this destination. And now it is our fate to understand His message, make every effort to know His message, practice His message, and experience Him within.
But you say that God is everywhere and He's there, you have to attain consciousness and all that. So what is the point of destiny and destination?
See that? Yeah, what are you doing there?
Studying, ninth standard.
Ninth standard. If you are of this standard in ninth standard, I don't know what standard you will reach after. God bless you. When God is everywhere, what is the question of destiny and destination? Is that question. Right? Your good name?
Karunya.
Karunya. Do you have Karunya for anybody? You close your door if anyone comes to you, right? Karunya. Compassion. Good name. Now, we say God is everywhere as a declaration, not out of experience. If we say God is everywhere out of experience, can we behave as we are behaving? Can we talk as we are talking? Can we think as we are thinking? No. God is everywhere. He is everywhere, but somewhere I have my privacy. He is everywhere, but somewhere I have my confidentiality. He is everywhere, but somewhere I have my secrecy. He is everywhere, somewhere I have my corner. Therefore, God is everywhere is a statement. God everywhere is a declaration, not born out of experience. Because if it is born out of experience, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything because God is in you. Because God is there, I am going. Then once you know He is everywhere, you don't have to go anywhere. Am I clear?
Reaching God, same as self-realization.
Reaching God is the same as self-realization. Correct. Meaning, to know that you are the self and that self is God. And you realize that. That's called self-realization. The term God is a broader term. It's something like electricity. Is it the light? Yes. Is it the heat? Yes. Is the engine? Yes. But what is it? It is everything. Like that, God is a broader term. But that is the individual self, conscience. To know that the self, the conscience, is the divine, is realization. That's why Swami Vivekananda says, religion is realization. Religion is not attainment. Religion is not achievement. Religion is not getting first class in examination. What is religion? Religion is realization. Supposing I go on searching for my glasses. I searched everywhere. Suddenly, Karunya comes and tells me, Uncle, what are you doing here? I'm searching for my glasses. No, they're on your nose there. Oh, that's it. Therefore, glasses are not separately brought. Glasses are not new. Glasses are not imported. Glasses are not manufactured. Glasses are already there. You tell me, they are already there. So this is realization. Your telling me is Upadesha, or teaching, spiritual teaching. And you is the divine master. So the one who tells you is Guru. And the telling is Upadesha, or teaching. Then you realize, oh, here only self-realization. Understood? Am I clear, please?
Everyone in this world have something, but some people have more suffering. They say it's according to their karma. Anything can be done which to reduce it.
Have you all followed that question? What she said is, in this world many are suffering, but some are more suffering. Is there any way to reduce the suffering? 3 questions. Your first statement is, all are suffering. So nothing to worry, all are suffering very good. When my son failed in the examination, nice, because neighbor's son also failed. I lost my connection flight. I am happy because you also lost your connecting. That is that kind of observation that all are suffering. But what is suffering? What is suffering? Suffering can be at different levels. At the body level, suffering may be in the form of a disease. Body level, suffering is due to a disease. Eye problem, I cannot see. Ear problem, I cannot hear. Tongue problem, I cannot taste. Skin problem, I cannot feel sense of touch. So these are all physical problems. Is there a way to reduce it? Medicine. Take medicine. Go to eye doctor, he will operate, your eyesight is perfect. Go to ear specialist, he will make your ears perfect or totally gone. That's a fate. That's a fate again. Sorry. So, to be free from physical problems, medicine. Clear? For the medicine to work is your fate. Okay. The second kind of problems are psychological problems or mental problems. You feel that I am superior, greater than you. Mental problem. That problem is called ego. It is a disease. Please understand. To be egoistic is a disease. There is no reason to be egoistic after all. I'm a VIP, you know. Who said you are VIP? You cannot. The fact that you are telling a VIP to say is enough to know that you are not VIP. No VIP says, I am a VIP. I should say you are VIP. Others, you cannot declare it. Therefore, ego is a psychological disease. Supposing Swami talks to you, I feel very bad. Why? He has not spoken to me and he is talking to you. This is called jealousy. Pride, jealousy. Jealousy is also a mental disease, mental problem. And 3, this camera seems to be nice, let me take it away. that land seems to be empty, let me grab it. Land grabbing is a latest problem. Oh yes. You can occupy any land, occupy anybody's house. That's latest style. So this is called possessiveness. I should have all comforts. I should have all the luxuries in my life. I should have all convenience and comforts all to myself. Is called possessiveness or attachment is a disease. I have one car, why not second car? I have two cars, why not nano car lease? By Ratan Tata. Too many desires is a disease. Attachment is a disease. So like that, so many psychological diseases cause for problems. Supposing I am a man of ego, if nobody says to me, Sai Ram, my ego is shaken. I am thinking I'm very important man, nobody is looking at me. So, we have these problems are because of our own mind. Jealousy, anger, pride, possessiveness, these are all the problems. When once we allow them, give them a free will. So long you hold the dog, the chain being in your hands, it will behave well. If you let the dog go, it will jump over. It will attack you, right? Similarly, the mental diseases, the mental problems, if they are under control, perfect. How to hold them in control? How to check them? The best thing is bhajans, service. Let us serve everybody so that pride will go. Supposing if I take some crowbar, dig that, water some plants, clean the mandir, egoistic man cannot do that. A man of pride cannot take a broomstick and do that. So service is the solution for mental problems. Medicine is the solution for physical problems. Then we have spiritual problems. What is a spiritual problem? My God is more than your God. My temple is more beautiful than your temple. This bhajan is very powerful, not other bhajans. If you come to this Ganesha, all your desires are fulfilled, not that Ganesha. Please understand, this Ganesha, this is a spiritual disease. That same God is present everywhere. The same God is called and prayed to by different names. How to do that? How to be free from spiritual diseases? Jnana or awareness. Jnana or awareness will make us free from spiritual problems. Am I clear? These are the things. And all have problems. But nobody wants a solution because not to have a problem again is a problem to somebody. What's your problem? That is the problem. Why? Why are you crying like that? Why is such a castor oil face? Your wife is quite good. You are fine. Children are nice. You have got good job. Why is it? I don't know what. Absence of a problem is a problem. So let's not worry. But Sai bhajans, Sai literature, meditation, Sai are the three. One is an antibiotic. Sai bhajan antibiotic. Erythromycin, ledramycin, temperature should fall immediately. But the temperature may rise again in the evening. To see the temperature won't rise again, you should have some extra tablets also, not merely capsule. Little paracetamol, little some other medicines along to make it more powerful. Something like folic acid to make this work better. And third, we should see that we will not have problems with the final level also. So multivitamin tablets so that we be strong. So strength should be maintained. So we need to take three. One, medicine. Two, another medicine to make the first medicine to work. And third, to be able to swallow all the medicines, still be energetic. What are those three? Bhajans, service and meditation. These three will completely make you free from all kinds of problems. Am I clear?
One last question I can ask you.
Last question.
Hopefully there are no other questions here right now. I think we need to
What is your question?
Stages in life we attain before attaining the state of self-realization.
What are the different stages in life before we attain self-realization? Good question. In politics, there are different stages. Jilla Parishad chairman, corporation chairman, MLA, minister, chief minister, Lok Sabha MP, cabinet minister, prime minister. Different stages in politics. There are different stages in education. Primary school, higher school, college, university. Money also stages. Hundreds, thousands, lakhs, crores, billions, I don't know further. So there are stages in money, stages in politics, stages in life. A child, a boy, man, father, grandfather, Haribo. That's it. So there are stages. But in spirituality there are no stages. Let us understand. There are no stages in spirituality. Why? Simple example. To know, I think most of you must be visiting North Indian canteen. North Indian, of course I am not their spokesman, nor am I their agent. People say North Indian canteen is known for sweets, I believe. Best sweets they make. Whenever I send to my relatives, I order from them. So, to know how sweet the Badshah is, how sweet Jahangir, how sweet Laddu is, what are the stages? How many stages are there to know how sweet is a Laddu? How many stages? One stage. One stage, come on, go to canteen. Then fine. That's the beginning, that is the end. So in spirituality, there are no stages. Only experience. As you go to a cinema, how many stages you need to see? Seeing is a stage and final. Understand? That's what it is. Answer here.
Rama Avatar, Krishna Avatar.
He goes to Rama Avatar, Krishna Avatar.
So sort of peace, prosperity, dharma, righteousness, prevailing everywhere. Now that the avatar has descended, why do we have so much of killing, chaos, corruption, all wrong things, undharmic things?
There is a cycle in creation. Krita Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga. Krita Yuga, that's a cycle. When every yuga comes to an end, these things start appearing. Simple example. They are in the flight. The pilot will be announcing, we will be landing in 10 minutes. Preparation for safe landing. They give you forms to fill up. Fasten your belts, is landing. Preparation for landing. The moment it starts landing, you find that space in which it goes on moving, you find the groundmen there, you find some flags there, zap, there you landed. So, you know when it is landing. You know when it takes off. When you no more see lights, when you no more see buildings, when you no more see people, well, take off. Similarly, the beginning of the next, the ending of this, you find that. Meaning, when you see the railway signal, what does it mean? Station is approaching. So, that this yuga is coming to a close, therefore these features appear. These features appear. Because in the end of Dwapara Yuga, Dharmaja went on crying. Somebody asked, why do you cry, Dharmaja? He says, what is it? I find certain things happening all around which are in a very, very bad taste and shape. Then somebody tells him, Dharmaja, don't cry. This Dwapara Yuga is coming to a close. And Kali Yuga. So now what is Baba trying to do? What he is trying to do is to bring out the best in all of us. To resurrect the human values once again, so that we have some peace in this chaotic life. The whole village is dark because of power cut, right? Supposing I have got small candle. All right, I am able to manage. Similarly, Baba gives you the candle of human values, the candle of educare, the candle of love, the candle of bhajans, so that you will have that light in the midst of darkness. Am I clear? I thank you very much for your presence. I presume that your questions are answered. These question answers will be of lot of value for many, many thousands of our website viewers, because there is a lot of information. So every satsang like this, you are helping me to learn more from you, to affirm, to confirm my own views, and to develop more and better clarity in my expression. Thank you very much. May Baba bless you.
On behalf of all of us here, I'd like to thank Swami and thank you having spared your time in spoken to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.